Hey, what's up, Jeff? Quick demo video for you for your Korbanth Crimson Menace. This thing is quite the beast. I will be taking these claws off before I ship it back out, so I'll kind of show you how to take those off as well. But yeah, got this done today. I used the chassis from Shimino's workshop to get this done. That's one of the few chassis that I've bought and I haven't designed myself, but I liked what he came up with. I had 3 of these in house. I had 2 of these, and I had a Dennis Lukianov Crimson Lord. And I thought when I grabbed the Crimson Lord that I was grabbing a Crimson Menace, and I designed a chassis for that. So it only worked for one of the sabers, and knowing that I had 2 more to go, or I had to do that again, I just, it took the fight out of me. So I used his chassis. I've got it out of the saber right now because it is kind of a beast to put in. So let's go over the chassis first. We'll put this off to the side. And here is your chassis. So removable battery setups. No springs on this guy. So spring side, this has keystone holders. So the thing to remember is you've got 2 kill switches right here. Right next to your kill switches, that's the positive side of your battery. So yeah, don't forget that. Positive side of your battery goes by these kill switches. These are actually the terminals that I got away from using a long time ago because people were frying their boards, but I'm sure you'll be fine. And then here are your 2 Proffie boards up here. No wires up top. You've got Smuggler's Outpost 28mm Elite speakers right here. You got one on this side, another on this one. And if you can see up under there, I put a 4-pixel strip under each one, just cut from a BTF strip that looks like this. But it was able to fit 4 pixels up there, so we did some added accents for you on both sides. This is a 2 chassis system, and it locks together and then it's glued in place, but I used E6000. So I used some E6000 last night, put it together, let it cure overnight, and it's pretty solid, right? I don't think it's going to come apart on you at all. I've been testing this guy on and off all morning. I had some things I had to tweak a little bit, and it's working great. So we'll throw some batteries in here. Just please don't forget the positive side of your battery goes by your kill switch. These snap in really well. In order to take them out though, you're going to need a tool, and I'll show you how to do that at the very end of this video, but it involves these 2 slots right here and just pushing a tool through, and then you can pull the battery right out. It's very easy to do. When it comes to your saber, I did do some weathering, so hopefully that came out the way you liked. I did try to do like a light to almost medium weathering. Not too much, but just enough to make this thing look nice and used, right? Your red switches are going to be your activation switches, although this one over here likes to stick sometimes. So you might want to watch out for that. I've been messing with it. I think it's just the design of this particular one. Yeah. But I got it to where it's moving a little bit better, but you might find that it sticks a little bit on you. So just make sure it's not stuck in the down position before you slide your chassis in, and then everything should be okay. And then your silver switches back here are your auxiliaries. Now, when I initially wired up my chassis, I knew that you wanted these red buttons for your activation, but I accidentally wired my buttons opposite. So if you go to mess with the config on this saber that you gave me to load, know that I took your config, and down at the bottom I swapped the power and auxiliary buttons so that I could accommodate the red button being the power for both. Okay. The chassis slides in on the side that does not have the claws, so over here. We just want to unscrew this guy. Now this will unscrew in 2 parts. First is this part, and that's okay. You can take that off because you need to get there to get to your blade retention anyway. But then this black piece right here unscrews as well. When you take this off, this will slide off if you're not careful. So just try to keep it in there. There is a, where is the set screw? There's another set screw right here for a chassis retention if you wanted to use it, but you don't need it. The chassis fits in here pretty tight. So I don't even mess with that guy. But we do, however, want to make sure that it's out of the blade socket, or out of the socket of the handle, so the chassis can slide in nice and even. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to take this out. That way there's no confusion. I'll put it in your box, but I'm just going to leave it out. So now, we got your chassis. We'll flip on the power to one side.
My ally is the Force.
Flip on the power to the other side.
My ally is the Force.
So it does matter how this goes in. The side with the smaller diameter right here, and it's a little bit larger of a pixel holder, and it's smaller, so you can see that one's pretty small. This one's pretty big. So the small side goes towards the claws. So you want to make sure you get that right. So the small side goes towards the claws because you've got a Shtok V3 NPXL on each side here, but you've got another one in here, if you can see that in the light. And then what you probably won't see is way down deep in there is a blade side PCB. And that's what this Shtok V3 NPXL hooks up to. I mean, we could turn it on outside of the Saber and everything's firing up like it should, and then twist it off. So there's nothing to clock this chassis in this Saber. So when you're putting it in, you're going to want to make sure your switches are lined up with your switches on the Saber so it works properly. But once it gets in there, it's not going to twist on you. So once we got it all the way in there, we can take this silver ring, put it back on if it fell off on you. Take this black piece here and twist it down. And this is what actually pushes that chassis over here towards the claws, the final, just the final little bit away. So all those pins engage to this PCB. So lock that down tight. And then you have a blade retention screw right here. I'm not going to use it for the sake of this demo. I don't need it. The blades fit in here pretty tight, but it's there in case you ever need it. But we're going to lock this back in. And then if you can see your LEDs going, you can see them right here and right here, obviously. So they do have a little bit of shine through. If the venting for this for the speakers was placed a little bit differently, or if the speakers in the chassis were angled a little bit differently, you'd get a little bit more shine through, but I think that looks pretty cool. So now we've got that side lighting up, this side lighting up, so everything's connecting over here like it should. Auxiliary. Can you hear that?
Spring side is your negative.
Spring side is your negative.
Spring side is your negative.
It's just in there every so often. I'll get you back for that. So we'll twist it off. We can use the power buttons, right? So that's one side. We just engage the other side. Turn one side off, and we turn the other side off with the power button. So those work like they're supposed to. Let's throw some blades in. This guy takes two 7/8 inch blades. And because I'm not going to use the blade retentions, I'm not going to go too terribly crazy with this demo. I'm just kind of showing you that it works. Hopefully that's in all the way. There. And now you've got two blades lighting up. It's hard to get all this on camera. You've got the shorter end, the longer one. They're both set up for full-length blades. So you got battle mode. You can get battle mode on both ends. It's easiest to get the blade lock up on both ends. It's easiest to do that if you hit it right in the middle. And you can actually hear that coming through the middle or for both sides, and you can see it in the animations in your speaker vents. You can see that blade lock up for both sides. So you pull away from it. Then we'll change sound fonts for each one.
Ignition. Ignition.
So we went to ignition for both. So you got your LEDs in your vent.
Straight side is your negative.
It's on this one too.
Straight side is your negative. Straight side is your negative.
Blade lock up. Both sides. Twist off. Or we could go power. So now we're on both sides.
Straight side is your negative.
So anyway, you can see both sides are working. I'm not going to go through all your sound fonts because you have a lot. We're going to take this smaller one out first. We'll take this smaller one out first because it's easier. And then this is my newer 7/8 inch, and I sanded it just for this demo, but it's still pretty tough in there. It comes out just like that. And then we'll go through, there's a little bit of a trick to get this chassis out. So we'll go through that. What you want to do is, of course, unscrew this guy. We'll take that out, and we'll take this guy off too. And we'll go ahead and take that silver ring out too, so it doesn't accidentally fall out. Now, this chassis is not just going to fall out on you. Okay, what I've been doing is, like, I'll take these and I'll kind of go up underneath. There's a little gap right here. It's going to be kind of hard to see. There's a little gap between the pixel holder and the actual saber right here, the inner diameter. And you could fit something up inside of it like this and just kind of like pry it out just like that, how now it's popped up like that. And then you can take your hand and you can kind of pull it the rest of the way out. Every time I do it, it gets a little bit easier and easier. So I think the chassis and is just kind of like lining up and acclimating, kind of wearing into the saber, if that makes sense. I probably put this chassis in, a dozen times testing it, and it has gotten a lot easier. But we'll just come over here. We'll flip these kill switches off, and then one of these you could. I think it's this one. You can't actually. Well, I could before. I could take it out with my finger, but I don't want to ruin it. We'll do it the way it's supposed to be done. So you got that little slit right there in your chassis where you can actually see your battery. If you just take a tool, go in there and pop it, that battery pops right out just like that. And same for the other side, because they're exactly identical, right? You just take your tool and push that battery out a little bit and it comes out just like that. And that is, then you'll have your chassis, and I'll leave this in the saber for safekeeping. That is your saber. I know there's a lot going on. Let me know if you got any questions. And yeah, if not, I'll get this out in the mail to you tomorrow. All right, thanks.